Everybody, and welcome to a Friday edition of the Rough Draft Podcast. You can tell it's Friday because I'm drinking nondescript golden liquid.
Party on a Friday, baby.
Whoa, you got super quiet on me. What was that?
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Better now, or
Slightly better.
how's that?
Still pretty quiet, but
Still quiet, dang it.
yeah. That's okay. I'll start out just talking. You can try to figure out what's happening. There is a little bit of news today with the draft. Orlando Brown was moved from the Ravens to the Chiefs for the Chiefs' first-round pick. That would be 31st in the draft. It also means that the Chiefs have some help at line on the offensive line, which they desperately need. Kansas City is also moving their 2022 fifth round, the third in 2021 and a fourth in 2021. So that's a big haul for Baltimore. But Baltimore is also moving 2021's second round. So Kansas City now has 2 second round picks. Baltimore has 2 first round picks. And Baltimore has an extra 4th round pick now. So that is a big deal. I can't hear you at all, but
At all?
I can hear you very slightly.
What in the world?
I don't know. Let me check my end too. This is the thing about doing a live show is sometimes you just end up with weird audio things happening at the very last second.
Yeah, seriously, what the heck? Okay.
I literally hit go live and then your mic was just like, haha, nope. Try now. Nah, it's like getting worse.
What the heck? Shoot.
We need to get you a real mic.
I mean, I guess, because what the heck is going on here? Let me try something.
Oh, you sound really good when you're that close.
Yeah, how's that?
Yeah, it sounds good, but
Sounds good when I lean over my mic like this.
yeah, I guess that's what you'll have to do.
Here, I'll try to move it closer.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
Is that good?
Really
Okay.
good. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Hey, only 3 minutes of that. But this is the Frey mock draft special, as I've called it. We covered round 1 on Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday.
But round 2 and 3 you released in the last couple days. Sup, Jesse Fletcher from YouTube. How's it going?
What's happening, Jesse?
So let's go through this. You have offensive linemen going the top 3 picks in the first round. Second round.
Or the second round, yeah.
Second round. That'd be crazy. That would be insane if the Jacksonville picks an offensive lineman, New York picks an offensive lineman, and yeah. But no, second round.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's too crazy for this to happen. The craziest one, in my opinion, would be Landon Dickerson going that high, but I really like him. I think he's a really good leader. He was one of the best centers in college football before he tore his ACL in that SEC title game. So health is definitely a question with him, but when he's healthy, his talent is definitely up there with everybody else in this draft.
Alabama offensive linemen are such an enigma, I feel like, because they always seem to have a really high floor and a low ceiling, but I don't know. I feel like they almost never pan out as well as you hope they do. But I think it is a good point. I think Dickerson is one of the top interior offensive linemen, whether he stays at center or whether he shifts to one of the guards. in this draft, and if he's available at the early second, I think it would make sense for the Falcons to go after him, especially depending on what they do in the first round. If they're going to keep Matt Ryan, oh my goodness, do they need to upgrade the offensive line?
Yeah, no, that's for sure.
You have my boy Rashad Bateman going to the Miami Dolphins and playing with Tua.
Yeah, so this one I think is a pretty interesting pick because I also have Miami taking Kyle Pitts in the first round. So Tua's going to have a lot of weapons to play with in this offense if this is how it pans out. I think Bateman has a really good shot at really just flourishing in this offense, especially alongside Pitts. And outside wide receiver is something that Miami's needed for a couple of years now, and they finally got it with Bateman.
Yeah, Bateman's tape is bad in 2020, but his 2019 tape is incredible. And that whole Minnesota offense is terrible from this last year. Tanner Morgan was dreadful. But yeah, no, I think that would be an incredible get in the early second round. I think Bateman is going to be is kind of a sleeper of this draft, especially early on. The Eagles get their linebacker in Zaven Collins. That's not that surprising. The Eagles need help at linebacker.
They need help at a lot of places.
And then the Bengals go linebacker as well. Again, the Bengals need defensive help, and you had them addressing the offensive line in the first round too. So, the Panthers get Kadarius Toney, one of my favorite names in this draft. He's just a fun guy to watch.
Yeah, his tape is ridiculous. He has he's just loaded with highlight plays all over the place. He's a super fun guy to watch, and I think he has a really good shot at maybe revitalizing Sam Darnold's career in Carolina.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that all gels, and they certainly need to get him some options that aren't just Christian McCaffrey. Although that's not a bad option to have, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, Curtis Samuel's not going to be a bad option either. Robbie Anderson is decent, but I just feel like they're not dynamic enough to where there can be your 1 and 2 wide receiver options without a solid wide receiver 3.
Yep. The Broncos get a running back, Etnay from Clemson. I saw somebody, I think it was on the NFL site on one of the mock drafts. I saw somebody say that he was akin to Walter Payton, which
that's some pretty high praise. Holy cow!
Yeah, that I'm not sure about that one, but I think he'll still be good. You have the Lions taking Dylan Raduns. Raduns, is that how you say his name?
I think so. Yeah, that's how I've heard it.
From North Dakota State. So the Lions take 2 pretty much very unsexy picks with a cornerback in the first round and an offensive tackle in the second round. But they're the kind of picks that the Lions need because they need to build that team's foundation again.
Yeah, and I mean, with Dan Campbell, it feels kind of just like the picks he would actually make. That's what I alluded to in the actual article. He just seems like a guy that's going to be old-fashioned football, rough and tumble, and those are the kind of picks that a team's going to make.
Yeah, and I think it's really the picks that you make a team good long-term. I just to poke fun at some Lions fans, I saw a video on YouTube today of every Detroit Lions postseason win in the past 50 years, and it's like a 13-second video because they've only won one game. So that was fun. And then Elijah Moore, your guy. Oh, no, not this guy. Oh, you had 2 Elijahs in a row. I read it wrong. They both start with M.
Yeah.
Elijah Molden goes to the Giants. Cornerback from Washington. That's a good pick. And then Elijah Moore goes to the San Francisco 49ers. That is so far in this mock a revamped offense.
Yeah. They get a quarterback in the first round, and then this pick here, they've already got some decent wide receivers. But, I mean, San Francisco is not a team that has a ton of needs, and I feel like they can kind of just play with house money with this draft.
Yeah, I think they, much like the Golden State Warriors, they had like one really bad year, so now they've got high picks, and they've got a chance to reload pretty quickly. So, Creed Humphrey goes to the Dallas Cowboys at 44. Um, the Cowboys once had the best line in the league, and it looks like they now need help.
Yeah, and I think Creed Humphrey's a guy that'll help rebuild that offensive line that was really good when they were making the playoffs a few years ago. He's a guy that can open up running lanes for a team. I think he's one of the best centers in this draft, if not the best center. And like I said, Dallas needs help.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that need help on the offensive line, Brady Christensen, we talked a little bit about this guy on Tuesday, goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. BYU had one of the best lines in college football like history. So it's not surprising to see one of them go in the first couple rounds, but it's kind of surprising that he would wait to come off the board until the early second. Or it's a little bit surprising, I should say, but it's also just kind of the nature of the world we're in right now, the league we're in right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think teams are gonna doubt him a little bit just because he played at BYU. They didn't have a ton of great competition, but he's still a really good player, and I think he's worth at least going in the second round here.
Yeah, I think he's definitely up there. That's from Minnesota's pick, at number
Yep.
45.
What could have been?
Could have had him. Aleem McNeil, defensive tackle, NC State, goes to the Falcons. And then Greg Newsome goes to the Chargers. Greg Newsome is a very interesting prospect, and you allude to it here because he's incredibly smart, and he doesn't get burned very often, but he is not necessarily going to keep up athletically with the best in this draft.
Yeah, I mean he's not a burner by any means. Like he's not super quick, but like you said, his intelligence is one of the best, and that's kind of what I feel like a team that's been struggling on defense the last few years really needs more than athletic playmakers. They need guys that are going to be smart and make the right plays.
Those guys turn into leaders very quick, I find. So hopefully that works out for the Chargers. The Las Vegas Raiders. One slight thing about the Las Vegas Raiders we were going to talk about. Apparently they're in the market for a quarterback. Obviously you don't have them taking a quarterback in the second round. You have them taking Ronnie Perkins, the edge from Oklahoma. But if they take a quarterback, and this is something that I wrote about in our like site-wide mock draft that was on Franchise Tagged, which we need to repost. Oh, goodness gracious. My nondescript golden beverage is making me burpy. But the Raiders are in the market for a quarterback, and it's very possible that if one is available in a few picks before them, that they move up to get one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about doing a quarterback here, but I think it's still a little too high to go with either Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond at this point. Like they're good, they're decent guys and they have potential, but it's a lot for a second round pick, especially in the middle of the round and not towards the end.
Yeah, I think if a quarterback makes it that far, it's very unlikely that they're going to go in the second round at all. But yeah, Kyle Trask better than Mac Jones. Just throwing that one out there.
True.
Then you have the Arizona Cardinals taking Rondale Moore, the wide receiver out of Purdue. Did you have Arizona taking a wide receiver in the first round?
I thought
No, you have them taking Asante Samuel. We
Right,
have talked about Arizona possibly taking a wide receiver like Waddle if he falls at that 16 spot, but you have them taking more from Purdue instead.
Yeah, I think the defense is something that needs to be addressed in the first round. And then now that they're in the second, Rondale Moore is a really good guy that can fit in the slot alongside Hopkins and AJ Green, as long as those guys stay healthy, obviously. And I think he's just another weapon for Kyler Murray to throw to.
Quick note on Kyler Murray. A couple years ago, before or right after he was drafted, we were on our post-draft show. I had predicted that he was going to bust, and I am so far pleasantly wrong about that. So, good job, Kyler. Jamin Davis goes to the Miami Dolphins at 50. Flopping back to the defense. That's 4 picks inside the top 50. That is Miami has, before this draft has even started, Miami is like winning this draft.
And they could easily move back from 6 again. Like they've been talking about it. They're taking calls. And if they do, and they get another second round pick out of that, that'd be ridiculous.
I would not be shocked to see another team hedge like multiple drafts to move up to 6 from that 10 range, like somewhere around 10.
Yeah, especially if Justin Fields or somebody like that starts falling, somebody's going to want to take advantage of that.
It is going to be crazy, and Miami is building quite the stockpile of picks. Washington football team takes Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean, I talked a little bit about this in my mock draft of them specifically a couple weeks back. They're a pretty solid team, but I just feel like they need more help in the secondary than anything else. And Kelvin Joseph is a guy that can help them with that.
I think everybody is a little surprised that the Washington football team is as good as they are. Granted, they have the benefit of playing in the NFC East, which is, who knows, man?
It's a crapshoot.
It's like, what a bad division.
We should just disband it. Make a different one.
Just shut it down. Just open up a third wild card spot.
Yeah.
Or a fourth one, isn't it?
Yeah. Now we're on to 4. So.
Oh my goodness. Everybody makes the playoffs. Dyami Brown goes to the Chicago Bears. The Bears need help at wide receiver, so that's not that surprising. Carlos Basham Jr. goes to the Tennessee Titans. Didn't you have the Titans taking you had Micah Parsons going to the Titans in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
The Titans get a lot of defensive help in the first 2 rounds.
And I think that's kind of what they need. Their defense was kind of quietly terrible last year. So they kind of were carried by Derrick Henry and then the 2 wide receivers. So they need some help.
Yeah, it's especially after they had a really good defense a couple years ago, and that defense has been essentially gutted. So Colts take Peyton Turner, the edge from Houston. Again, not really surprising. Defensive lines across the league are seemingly in need of some changes and some revamping. Alex Leatherwood, offensive tackle from Alabama, another Alabama lineman, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, with Andrew Villanueva not being signed yet.
I thought he just signed in Baltimore.
Oh right, yes, because that's why they moved.
Orlando Brown, yeah.
Yeah. To Kansas City. Let me double check. I think you are correct. He hosted. Okay, yeah. So 8 hours ago it said they had hosted him, and then an hour ago it looks like they're expected to sign him.
So, okay, yeah, that's what it is.
Which would make sense after moving Brown. Which also Jesse Fletcher commented that the Chiefs got best O-line, and best quarterback. So we'll wait to see how the O-line works, but I will not disagree that they have the best quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks take Jamar Johnson, safety from Indiana, Indiana's not a school you see a lot of football talent coming from, but
This is true, but Jamar Johnson's a good player.
he is, and that Seahawks defense still needs a lot of help. Um,
Yeah, especially like Jamal Adams just hasn't really panned out for them at this point. So I think just anything that can take some pressure off of him will be helpful.
yeah, I watch a decent amount of Seahawks stuff because my wife is a Seahawks fan, um, and they're fun to watch. But I don't know if they didn't have Russell Wilson, they would be a bottom tier team, like most of the time. Because wow, that guy carries that team.
Yeah, I don't know if the Seahawks are as fun to watch as much as just Russell Wilson is fun to
That's
watch.
true. That's true. Joseph Osai, the edge from Texas, finally goes off the board at 57. This is one that I think he could go much higher than this, but I also think it's totally reasonable for him to go this far back.
Yeah, I do. I think he could go as early as the mid second round, but I don't think it's going to be much more than that just because he's still just a super rough guy. I mean, like his development isn't really there yet. So if he gets on a team that can do that for him, the sky's the ceiling for him. So
Yeah, I think he's incredibly boom or bust, and that's okay. Sometimes those guys are the best prospects. The Ravens take a guard, Liam Eichenberg, I think is how you say his name, from Notre Dame. And you put it here, they would have gotten a wide receiver, but there's so many went off the board before them. And then with them moving Orlando Brown, I think it makes sense for them to take a guard here, even though you wrote this before the trade happened, obviously.
predicting the future.
You got the crystal ball. Richie Grant, safety from Wake Forest, goes to the Cleveland Browns at 59. I think Cleveland needs a lot of help to get over that last little hump and truly compete in the AFC. So it makes sense to go safety here. The Browns just accepted or just signed Mayfield's like 5th-year option, so that's not really surprising. The Saints take another safety, Ardarius Washington from TCU.
Yeah, I mean, the ideal pick would have been Trayvon Merrick in the first round, but he was already off the board at that point. So I think they just go with Ardarius Washington in the second and shore up that secondary.
Yeah, it's hard when you watch tape of TCU because I think Washington is a good player, but your eye every time that you watch their defense play is you get pulled right to Morig. He's like the guy, but I think Washington also does a very good job. So, Aaron Robinson, cornerback from UCF, goes to the Buffalo Bills. That's not really surprising either. Buffalo needs help on defense. The Green Bay Packers take Jackson Carman, offensive tackle from Syracuse. I'm sure he'll be just like every other Packers lineman and get away with holding. So, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs get their edge rusher in Rashad Weaver at 63. Yeah, the Chiefs defense needs some help, and they especially need help getting some pass rush and help stopping the run, but obviously. Oh, and you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking their running back at 64. Some people think that they're going to go running back in the first round, and they really could because they're at a position of, I mean, they just won the Super Bowl, so they have a lot of luxury to just go whatever direction they want. But in this draft, not a lot of running backs are going to go between the first and second rounds. So I think waiting till here is actually a really good option.
Yeah, I actually have them go on Pat Fryermuth in the first round, basically for the reason, like, they can do whatever they really want in this draft, so why not just take the best player you got?
Yeah. So, on to the third round. Jacksonville takes Ifeatu, thinking of Adenabo. Oh, goodness. Melifonwu?
I practiced this name yesterday. Let me see. It's Fatu Melifonwu.
All right, you got it.
I got you.
The cornerback from Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean Jacksonville again. Their defense needs some help, and Melifonwu is a really good guy in terms of like athleticism, and his size is ridiculous, but he just hasn't figured out how to use it yet. And I think if he can unlock that part of his game, he's going to be basically unstoppable at 6'3".
Yeah, and I think you put it well here. The fact that Urban Meyer is down there in Jacksonville helps. Him being a college coach for so long, he'll probably be able to focus on developing these guys, and he'll understand that skill set a little more. So hopefully he'll be able to get the most out of guys like.
Melifonwu.
There you go. New York Jets take tight end Brevin Jordan from Miami at 66. That is the third tight end off the board in your mock, with none going in the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Brevin Jordan, he's got some talent. I compared him to basically Kyle Pitts light at this point in the draft. He's a super athletic guy. He's one of the fastest tight ends you're going to see, and he's got decent route running ability. He just doesn't have any sort of blocking in his game right now.
Look, you don't need to block if you play for the Jets.
This is true.
It's just how it works. Houston takes Levi. Oh, this is another one. Onwuzurike.
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 There we go.
Defense tackle from Washington. Another guy that had a down 2020 year because he opted out, like his draft stock went down. That's what I mean. Not he played. But yeah, this could be these guys who opted out of this year could really be steals off the board because you don't have tape from them from 2020, so you're going off of last year. So some of these guys are going to fall because of that, and it's going to benefit a lot of these teams in this second and third round, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, it's risky because you don't know what they've been doing in the past 12 months, but last time we saw them on the field, they were really good guys. And like I said, if Onwuzurike can repeat his 2019 season, he's basically first-round talent.
First-round talent in the third round. That would be very good for Houston. Atlanta continues to build their offensive line with Kendrick Green, interior offensive lineman from Illinois.
This is an interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a former defensive lineman. I think he was actually he was scouted as a defensive lineman in high school, and then he got to Illinois and eventually transitioned to offensive line. And you see it in his game. He's a super aggressive guy off the ball. He's not afraid to get physical with defenders, and I think that's something that Atlanta could use.
It really is. Their offensive line has not been great, and they need some help, to say the least. Cincinnati takes Javon Holland, the safety from Oregon. Another solid pick. Holland is very fun. Holland is very fun to watch. You can put it here very well. He's not a supreme athlete, but his ability to track the ball, makes plays on par with anyone else in this draft. If you watch his tape, he is just incredible with his instincts for a college safety.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes higher than this, honestly. I think he could be a borderline second-round pick. But like I said in the article, he's ridiculously good in coverage. He's just not super athletic, but he doesn't really need it. So,
yeah, he's so smart. Luckily, safeties don't need that much athleticism, right?
Right.
The Eagles take their offensive tackle, Jalen Mayfield from Michigan. Raw, but at only 20 years old, he's got crazy upside and could absolutely turn into a very good offensive lineman in the future. And then you have our D3 guy going at 71, Quinn Miners.
Yeah, Denver's kind of runs away with this draft, in my opinion. They get Trey Lance, they get Travis Etienne, and now they get Quinn Miners. Like they get all the big names.
All the big names. It'll be interesting to see where Miners goes exactly, just because of the weirdness of this process. First of all, but also since like most of his like really comparable reps come from the Senior Bowl, and they're all very good. They're like all very good. But it'll be interesting to see what teams think compared to guys who have been playing against D1 athletes the entire time, or even D2.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely a risky pick just because you're basing everything off of that Senior Bowl, but it was a really good Senior Bowl. It was one of the best in the entire year. So,
I agree. Detroit takes Josh Palmer at 72, wide receiver from Tennessee. Detroit finally gets their sexy draft pick. They finally get the one that they can buy jerseys of.
yeah, no, Detroit needs a lot of wide receiver help. They don't have Kenny Galladay, Marvin Jones, no Damian Dola. They need to take a wide receiver at some point in this draft, and they get it in the third round.
And the Carolina Panthers take Andre Sisco out of Syracuse. Again, torn ACL. Don't really know exactly how he's going to handle, that recovery and everything. So I think he could be a steal here at 73.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got the potential to be a steal, but that ACL tear is scary, man. You don't know how he's going to recover from that.
Just no idea. And then my boy, Kyle Trask, better than Mac Jones, goes at 74.
74 Washington.
Only 71 picks after
Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, Washington's kind of set at quarterback for now with Fitzpatrick, but they need to find their long-term starter for the future. And I've mentioned this in the article too, but this is good for now because Fitzpatrick has always played better when he's got a rookie quarterback on his butt coming up through the depth chart. So
he's always just like he actually tries or something. No, I'm kidding. Dude's a consummate professional, but still, yeah, it seems like if there's a quarterback who people are excited about, he's going to be the stopgap. That's just like, nah, he's not going to play.
Yeah, this is my job.
But, I mean, Trask definitely needs that bridge between the first couple of years that he's in the league. This is one of the things that I wrote about was his processing and everything. He definitely needs to learn how to run a professional-style offense and get up to speed with the reading defenses and looking past your first or second options. Because at Florida, you watch his tape, he does that a lot, where his first option is Kyle Pitts, his second option is Tony, and he doesn't go past that.
Right, yeah. He definitely needs to work on that development, and give him a couple of years, he could get there.
Dallas takes Jabril Cox, linebacker from LSU, at 75. Another defensive pick after taking J.C. Horn in the first round.
Yeah, and I mean they need some more help. The defense was terrible last year, and especially in passing, they need somebody that can put some pressure on opposing quarterbacks. But Cox is also pretty good in coverage, so he can drop back and cover some tight ends, cover some bigger wide receivers for you.
Go in cornerback UCF goes to the Chargers. This is 2 cornerbacks in a row to Los Angeles. Do you think that happens?
I mean, I think it's possible. Just, again, this is another defense that was not good, and it needs to get better if Chargers actually want to compete. And I think they're pretty much on the verge of doing that with Justin Herbert as their quarterback.
I see that you know nothing about the Minnesota Vikings offensive lineman drafting strategy. True. With 78 going Ben Cleveland.
I'm trying to stay optimistic here.
You know they don't draft anybody over like 270. So
yeah, no, this is a complete opposite pick with Cleveland standing 6'6" and 335 pounds.
It would be, first of all, I think a really good move to get more size in that offensive line. It's something that we have been calling for as Vikings fans for a few years now. Because when you need 1 yard, you can't get it for some reason. And it would also be incredible because there would be the very real possibility that you start week 1 with the left guard is Ben Cleveland and the right guard is Ezra Cleveland.
Yes, this is an interesting side note that we need to keep on approaching.
It's interesting to see what names um,
How many
create championship
Clevelands do you
teams.
need to win a championship?
How many people named Cleveland? Thomas Graham, the cornerback from Oregon, goes to the Las Vegas Raiders at 79. Um, Once again, the Raiders miss out on their quarterback here.
Yeah, I mean, with Kyle Trask off the board, I'm not a big fan of Mond. I think he's a guy that's going to be available in the fourth round. So I just don't have him going here. So I think it's better off for the Raiders to strengthen their secondary.
Yep, and they do that again at 80 because they've got back-to-back picks with Divine Deblo, I think, safety, Virginia Tech. Um, Nothing really to say there. You just said it. Miami Dolphins take defensive tackle Milton Williams from Louisiana Tech. Um, like you said here, he's not a day one starter, but he's crazy athletic. Has tons of upside to rush the passer from the interior defensive line spot.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a rough prospect, but a 4.67 40-yard dash from a guy that's almost 300 pounds, that's not messing around.
That is very, very good. You could slide him anywhere on the defensive line. You'd be fine. Washington football team takes Cade Johnson from South Dakota State. Midwest represent.
I mean, the Washington football team's got a lot of decent wide receivers on their roster already, but Cade Johnson's a really good guy out of the slot to have. And, I mean, as a deep threat, you can always use another one of those on your team.
The Chicago Bears take Tommy, goodness, Togio.
I think it's Togiai or something. I think it's like, I don't know.
Either way, they take the defensive tackle from Ohio State. The Bears don't need immediate help on the defensive line, but I think they're headed towards needing it in the next couple of years, so this pick actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, they almost lost Akeem Hicks this offseason. So I think just building up the depth at that position is something that could be useful moving forward.
Yep. I think their defense is going to need a lot of maintenance as it goes because it's all their team has. So
True.
The Eagles take their wide receiver Jalen Darden. Hopefully he ends up better than Jalen Reagor. Tennessee Titans take Amon-Ra St. Brown, who definitely has the best name in this draft. I'm just saying. From USC.
I think we're going to come up to the best name in this draft, but
oh, are we?
Yeah, 91. 91 is when we're going to get there.
We'll argue about that when we get there.
All right.
Amon-Ra is my pick for sure.
It's definitely a good one.
He is a fun player to watch, and I think probably a very good pick at the third round.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee doesn't have Corey Davis anymore. They need somebody to replace that production, and Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be a good opportunity to do that.
Okay, and the Jets take Dayo. Is it a Denebo? Is this guy?
I think it's a Denigbo, yeah.
Okay. The edge from Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, the football powerhouse.
Yeah, that's true. No, I mean, they could use some help along the edge. He's not exactly the best prospect day one, but he's got the potential to be there eventually. He's got length, he's got versatility, and instincts are good. So yeah, he could be a good rotational edge rusher moving forward.
I agree. And the Steelers at 87 take Kellen Mond, the quarterback from Texas A&M, to replace Big Ben in a couple years.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how this actually pans out.
We'll see how how many years he keeps just playing for no reason. Pete Werner goes to the Rams at 88, linebacker from Ohio State. This is two defensive picks in a row for the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, Their defense is good, but they need more depth at the linebacker position, I think. And I think that Pete Werner does have the skill set to do that for the Los Angeles Rams. He's got great size. He's got great athleticism.
Position groups can very quickly go from good to bad, so it makes sense to get depth when you can. Tylan Wallace goes to the Cleveland Browns at 89, but more importantly, the Vikings take a safety at 90 in Hamza Nasruddin.
There you go. Yeah, you nailed it.
Hey,
you'll learn his name when he gets there.
Exactly. Safety is definitely a position of need for the Vikings. I'm sure Mike Zimmer will be asking for safeties and corners much earlier than this in the draft, but I am definitely okay spending a third-round pick on a safety.
Yeah, and I think this one is one of the better ones in the draft. Nasruddin he's a really big guy. He's got good athleticism. His instincts are great at the safety position too, and I think he could definitely provide some depth for that position for Minnesota.
He also gets to learn from one of the best in Harrison Smith. So
exactly.
Now this is the one that you're saying is the best name.
Stone, baby.
Cleveland Brown takes Stone Forsythe from Florida, offensive tackle. I suppose as a lineman, Stone is a pretty great.
You can't move him. He's a stone, baby.
It also helps that he's ginormous.
Yeah, 6'9", 310 pounds. This dude, he doesn't have the greatest skill set in the world. He's just going to be so big that you can't really get around him. So,
and Baker Mayfield's just going to throw into the back of his head every time because he's
true.
The Packers take Benjamin St. Juste from Minnesota.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. Had to be done. Green Bay needs cornerback help. We saw that in the NFC Championship game. It wasn't good from Kevin King. They brought him back, but they definitely need more help there.
Come on, Zimmer. You could take him. You could take him at 90 and just not let the Packers have him.
It would be a good storyline. Sell some jerseys.
The Vikings never take the Minnesota players, though.
Yeah.
Not really. Not in the draft, at least. Buffalo Bills take Khalil Herbert, our third running back off the board.
Fourth running back.
Fourth, because of Edney. Yeah, this is one that people think Buffalo could go after a running back in, as high as the first round.
Yeah, I just think Buffalo needs to address their defense earlier on in the draft. Because their offense is pretty good as it is. They just need a little bit of help. And Khalil Herbert here at the round 3, he's a guy that can add some dynamic passing to their backfield, which is something that Singletary just hasn't really been able to do so far. So I think this is where they go.
Not a bad place to go for it. Kansas City goes for Robert Hainsey, the offensive lineman from Notre Dame. You put in here that he's probably transitioning to guard at the NFL level, and I would agree. Apparently, I'm also hitting puberty.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's not a really big guy for an offensive tackle in the NFL, and he's just not super strong, especially on an island like you want a guy at left tackle. So I think moving him to the interior is a good move.
Yeah, and with the Chiefs addressing their tackle woes, hopefully with the Orlando Brown trade, it would make sense to go for a guy that can slot into the interior of that offensive line. The Buccaneers go Tyler Shelvin, defensive tackle from LSU. Again, the Buccaneers don't need offensive or defensive linemen, but they have the luxury of making those picks.
Yeah, I think it's just best player available at this point, so might as well just snag him.
I read that one. Baron Browning, linebacker, Ohio State, goes to the Patriots. Patriots need some linebacker help, I think so. That is a good pick there.
More cornerbacks for LA.
Tyson Campbell goes to the Chargers. Apparently, they're drafting nothing but cornerbacks. Mike Zimmer has secretly become the coach of the Los Angeles Chargers.
This is true. I mean, again, they just need a ton of help over there. I think they're really close to competing, but they just need help. They've got an offensive line now, so that helps, and they don't really need much else on the offensive side of the ball. So, sure up that secondary.
And you have the New Orleans Saints taking Chatarius Atwell, another great name, wide receiver from Louisville. Definitely a slot guy.
Yeah, he's just a burner. Alongside Michael Thomas over there, Traquan Smith on the outside. I think he fits into the slot nicely.
Now, if only Jameis Winston can throw to the offense and not the defense.
That's the hope.
Dallas Cowboys take Joe Tryon, edge from Washington.
This is an interesting one just because I'm not sold on Tryon's skill set to this point. He looks like a guy that should be really good. He just hasn't really produced at the college level. So it might be a reach at 99 for Dallas, but they need some help on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you see a guy who doesn't put up numbers in college, but like has the skill set, and it's really dependent on the team that he goes to and the coaches there, and if they can unlock that potential. At 100, the Titans take Patrick Johnson, another edge from Tulane. I assume you made a typo here because this says Bills.
Oh, yeah. Whoops. It was late at night when I was writing this, so that's my bad. No, I mean, it's kind of just best player available, too, for Tennessee at this point. So.
Yep. Detroit Lions. Hey, look, another not very exciting pick. Defensive tackle, Osa. Ooh, Odig. I'm not
I have no idea. Odigizua or something like that. I've heard it.
Right?
Yeah.
That sounds right. From UCLA, another explosive player, which just depends on development at this point. Another defensive tackle going Marvin Wilson, Florida State, goes to San Fran. Kind of like you said, San Fran can pick whatever they want at this point. The Los Angeles Rams take Tommy Tremble, tight end / fullback from Notre Dame. What a pick.
It's not a very exciting one, but I mean, he can run block for you, so that's something.
I mean, somebody's got to do it, right?
Exactly.
Dax Milne, wide receiver from BYU, goes to the Ravens. Not really surprising. The Ravens need some help at wide receiver. And then the Saints, with the final pick in the third round, 105, take Cornell Powell, the wide receiver from Clemson. Powell's not exciting as a wide receiver prospect, at least not compared to the top wide receivers in this class, and even the second wave of guys, Kadarius Toney and Rashad Bateman, have a lot of like spark in their game. But like you say here, Powell is a solid receiver who should be effective at the next level, just not as necessarily a big play guy.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of fits what the Saints have done at the wide receiver position the last few years. Michael Thomas isn't really the most exciting guy. Emmanuel Sanders wasn't the most exciting guy. And I think Powell kind of fits into that scheme.
No exciting receivers. That means your team is terrible.
Yeah.
This meme made by the Justin Jefferson fan club. But that is it for your mock draft. There's more articles up on the site that we could talk about, but we are almost at 50 minutes, and we try to keep this show to 30 minutes. More draft coverage to come. We're less than a week away, so it's exciting. It's nerve-wracking. We are almost at the time. I have already started watching spring games to start covering for next year. But when the time comes, we will be, you and I will be here. I'm sure Joe will be here talking about the draft on draft night and on days 2 and 3. But check out more things from UFTA Sports, VikingsTerritory.com. FranchiseTag.com has a lot of really good content right now for general NFL news. I have been Kirby O'Connor. He has been Josh Frey, not Frey.
There you go.
And this has been the Rough Draft Podcast. We'll be back probably on Tuesday again next week. And we'll probably do a Thursday show as well, just because the draft is that night. So we'll probably do Thursday around 1 or 2. So letting you guys know. We'll see you later.
See ya.